Hello and welcome back to your next exciting interview with the Limitless Potential Show. Today we have the beautiful Alexandria Manalo, and I've been so excited for this one because we go back a few years now, and it's been exciting to get to be on this beautiful journey with you. And I can't wait to share your gifts with our beautiful audience today. So today's show title, we are titling, Stop Downplaying Your Gifts, Get Over Your Fears, and Start Being of Contribution with our beautiful Alexandria Manalo. So as I'm just going to share this across some groups and pages and do all this weird stuff because we haven't done it on YouTube before, this is the first time. Just a reminder for everybody to drop some comments. Make sure that you are playing along at home and, share your experiences, your thoughts, your questions, any words of wisdom. And without further ado, let me introduce you to the one and only Alexandria Manalo. Please introduce yourself to our beautiful community.
Sure. Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. I am so blessed and happy to be here with you this evening or morning or afternoon, whatever the time is in your neck of the pond. So yeah, my name's Alexandria. I actually grew up with a nickname. It was Annie, A-N-I, because Alexandria is super long for a little kid to write. So that's kind of why. So that's me. This is the little me. Kind of the passion of my life is to keep that little inner child kind of happy and healthy. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell. Right now, I live near Seattle with my wonderful husband, Charles, from California originally. And basically, I've had two very long and very satisfying careers so far at this time in my life. One was a long, rewarding, and challenging career of being a teacher. So I did some years being a private school teacher, Christian school, little fourth graders, super fun. Teach all of the subjects. And then I transitioned to teaching high school English, public school. So seeing hundreds of students a day, and that lasted about 9 or 10 years. So also super satisfying, really challenging, but really taught me a lot about other humans and how to up-level my own skill set. So yeah. And then the last 12 years or so, I've been helping run a business that's called Medical Staffing. And we provide nurses and aides to nursing homes and hospitals and that sort of thing. So you can imagine we're incredibly busy right now. Never a dull moment, but it's a great enlivening atmosphere.
Absolutely. And just before we dive into what we want to talk about today, thank you so much for that introduction. And I just wanted, maybe if you could just share a little bit of your journey with this whole period in COVID, with the work that you do and how that's kind of impacted things. I'd love to hear just a little piece of that before we dive in.
Well, sure. I mean, from the outset, it doesn't look like my little life has been impacted all that much. I work long, hard hours, but it's very rewarding. But definitely I'm on the phone and dealing with people out in the field, in the trenches, who are dealing with COVID at the base level. So whether it's talking about, you need to get the vaccine or not, or how they're feeling if they do have COVID, those are conversations that I'm having all day long. So I had to get comfortable with that right away, something that's obviously super disturbing and whatnot, but we're just going to push through. And I have to believe that humanity, we're going to overcome this too. If you look back through history and you see all of the pandemics that we've had, you see all of the wars, the famines or whatnot, we're still here. Obviously, we've been knocked around a bit, but we're going to be here for a little while longer, I do believe. So yeah, again, not to make light of anything, a lot of people have lost their lives and are not doing too well, people that maybe are struggling with it, but we're definitely encouraging people to just hang in there in life and to still try to create a future for themselves.
I love that. And I know we've had a few conversations over the years about, how much you really love your work and the group of women that you get to work with. And I always great visions. I'm like, oh, that would be so much fun to have such a great group of women. And you're all, I've gotten to connect with you, and you're such a beautiful leader, you have such wisdom and such heart. So I've always kind of thought I'd love to, if I had to work somewhere, I'd probably be with you guys.
Okay. We're definitely not boring. I will say that it's pretty crazy in there, but that keeps us all sane at the same time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. So what are you most passionate about? I want to just tap into a little bit more about you. Yeah, so tell us, what about your passion? Yeah.
So I think really keeping my authenticity and my creativity alive. I think I've become really good at adulting now, just paying bills, being great financially. Again, almost not missing days of work. I'm really, really responsible. But I also don't want to lose that spark and that passion that I have and that fire to just be the real me, which sometimes means me sitting around looking like I'm doing nothing. Maybe I'm creating, maybe I'm just doing aromatherapy, maybe nothing at all, but that is really recharging my batteries. So I guess I'm kind of what they call an extroverted introvert. I'm not the introvert type where I'm super scared of other people or I'm just really shy and nervous all the time. Not that kind, but I am the kind of introvert that I love being alone a lot of the time. I'm rarely alone, but I do like it. But I also absolutely am in an amazing relationship and love to spend time with my husband. So I also have to put up, not even boundaries, that's not really the right word, but making sure that I carve out a little bit of me time to take care of this girl, who is now this woman that will be eventually somebody in the future. So just making sure that I honor that and, don't skip steps. And it's not selfish to take out and make time for yourself, and just to know that and be comfortable with that.
Absolutely. And you did just mention, your wonderful husband, the amazing Charles, as I like to refer to him as. And hopefully you guys got to see our very first interview last week, which was with Charles, Alexandria's husband. If you haven't, you go check it out. We'll link you up. But, it was beautiful just as a little snippet yesterday when I got to just catch up with you short, like just for a quick call and, and get to see you and Charles behind the scenes and all the love that you guys have for one another. Would you mind just sharing a tiny little taste of that? I think it's really powerful.
Sure, I'll just briefly mention it. I guess I had sort of a more stressful type of a work day, and I was feeling pretty burdened and just not feeling right. So I had even pulled over to a church parking lot for like 10 minutes just to calm myself before coming in the door with some energy. I didn't want to communicate that onto him. I pulled over and I did some aromatherapy, and then I thought, okay, now I'm cool. I'm back to myself. I can come in the door and be who I want to be and more relaxed and not super stressy, wedgy or whatever. So I did that. And as soon as I walked in the door, I couldn't imagine what I saw. This man, my husband, had constructed a beautiful poetry booth, had my poems out, had all the instruments that I've loved to play over the years, Shakespeare stuff, all the books that I've loved, candles were lit. And I just burst into tears, and it was powerful, overwhelming in a good way. And I just probably for half an hour, I couldn't stop bawling and crying. I was just overwhelmed by this person. I know, we're in love, all these years later, and that he had the foresight and the forethought and just the pure kindness to envision this, to bring it into reality. Here I walk in, and I'm not expecting anything, and I was able to receive this amazing gift. And I just remember even falling asleep that night, still sort of softly crying, just like, I just can't believe you did this. I said, my year, 2021 is already made. Even if nothing else good happens this year, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You've made my whole year. And I do believe that. And I do mean that. A gift of kindness can be that powerful, and it was, and it is. So that's why I'm sitting here surrounded by the evidence of that love.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thank you so much for just sharing that with us, because everybody knows my favorite topic is relationships, right?
Yeah.
And it inspires me so much to be able to have both yourself and Charles in the academy all over these past years. And, the consensus is really just how wonderful of a couple that you are. Like, just genuinely, just two beautiful, authentic souls who deeply love and care about one another. You're a real team. I love that you grow together and you connect and build community with us together. And it's a real inspiration to myself, and I know everybody else who gets to be in your presence. So I love that. And it was so beautiful to see and witness that with you guys again just yesterday. Just another day in the life of Alexandria and Charles. But that's awesome. And I want to also ask you, what are you most grateful for in your life right now?
Well, I will say a couple things. I will say for that first breath of fresh air every morning when I head out the door. And that's been many years that I do that. I take a breath outside, deeply inhale the crisp, fresh air, and I don't take it for granted. I'm a Libra sign, which I know it sounds kind of funny bringing up horoscope stuff. So I'm not really into that, but we're an air sign, and air is life, breath is life. So I don't take those gulps of fresh air for granted. That paired with the amazing Charles makes for a pretty good life. So no complaints.
I love it. I love it. And as a fellow air sign, you know, I totally get what you're saying there. Yeah,
Yep.
I love it.
We're air signs, but we're deep. Get it?
Exactly. Yes. We're not airy fairy. Exactly.
That's right.
I love it. Awesome. So let's go to that moment in time that we wanted to focus on for our topic today. Sure. And I believe it started with our power session when we actually first got to meet and call with one another. So I'd love for you to journey back and tell a bit of the story about what was going on for you at that point and how we got connected. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've been in personal development for a number of years, and I remember giving personality tests to my friends in college, and I've always loved social psychology, and just kind of also like you figuring out how people tick, and people watcher, that whole thing. I can never be bored. There's just always something. And I had run across your Facebook lives through something on Tony Robbins' page. And I just remember seeing this beautiful woman laughing, and then her camera sort of dropped, or something went wrong in the video that she wasn't intending. And that was you. And then she just picked herself right up and just went ahead, embracing the little flaws, embracing the little mistakes, and it was all good. And she was having a great time and really connecting with her audience. And, you know, I'm still here with you 3.5 years later, and we're both the same in many ways, but we both really also shifted and changed and matured in many ways and deepened in many ways. But I remember you were doing the Facebook Lives every day, and I was just watching and listening. And I was just so amazed and impressed that you would acknowledge absolutely anybody that showed up to that live broadcast by name, and connected with people that way. It was a way of honoring and respecting that person's time, their presence, and their energy. And, you know, that's not to be taken for granted. People have thousands of choices. They could be anywhere doing anything at that time, and they chose to be there in that room with you, and you knew that, and you still know that. And I really, really respected that and do today about you. And then you had put out a post, hey, I'll meet you guys online, a free session, just kind of hit me up, schedule yourself. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. That's fine. And I trusted that it wouldn't be anything too strange or scary. So I'd been connecting with you about 6 months. And I remember it was November 24th of 2017. And yeah, we met. And for some reason, I was drawn to bring my book of poetry, which I had kind of stopped writing for a long time. I wrote a few poems, but to be honest, there was probably a 10, 12, even 15-year period where I just really wasn't using those skills. Kind of that part of my creative life was dormant, I will say. But yet in my heart, I knew it was part of the best part of me. Why I was neglecting it, I don't know. Nobody was telling me not to do this. It was just kind of me being my busy self, just working, you know, doing everything I need to do, but neglecting the creative side, the creative energy. But I knew that that was part of my best part. So I brought it to the meeting and I said, I don't know if you even want to hear this. It's kind of silly, but can I read you a poem? And you're like, yeah, that would be awesome. And I read you a poem, and I just remember that by the end of reading it, I looked up and you had tears in your eyes, and I was like, it's not a sad poem, but she looks really emotional. Wow, that's kind of cool, but like, why? And then you kind of explained why, that you also believe that this was a great gift, and why are you hiding this away in a binder for years and you're not sharing it? So it was kind of confronting in a good way to me. And to this day, I'll just never forget that moment. And especially what happened after that moment is amazing. But if you don't mind, I kind of would like to read the poem that I brought to you that day when we had that initial connection.
Yes, please do. Yes.
Cool. And because I'm a little older than I was then, now I have reading glasses. So I'm going to look super cool right now. Like, yeah, librarian look here. That's okay. I like libraries. All right. So the poem is based on a true life situation. Many of them are, some happy, some not. This was a beautiful hike that I had had with some friends. And I really just wanted to capture the moment and not let it slip through my hands forever. I wanted to remember the exact scene, the exact setting, the exact feelings. And a poem can capture that, just like a song can or a picture. It's called Time Capsule. We travel through time's tunnel, a dripping limestone cave, our space capsule. Like curious children discovering a secret mine, we spy on the progress of the skies, looking nothing like cotton. The sky is crisscrossed with leftover jet flames, white ribbons, like sugared pastry strips, lacing up crisp apple pies, I say. But then my pie melts into music staff form, lines stuffed with rests and natural notes, images transposed to a higher key, blue crepe skies edging out into infinity, teasing shadows and light into silent symphonies. Skies swirl overhead, champagne clouds bubble and dissipate, making the earth giddy as a woman in love. Awakened, the lady of the lake rises, her 100 slender fingers gather reflected diamonds like rich young women flaunting engagement rings, stealing beauty from the stars. We eavesdrop as red hummingbirds, whirring wings, beat in synchronized staccato, singing gossamer lullabies and reminding us of the goodness of naps. And strangely, meeting any human in this natural setting feels more alien than talking to the bees. And our return trip through the tunnel is a journey to the moon, where they will expect us to be cool and serious. And the real me is not always cool and serious. She's kind of crazy. She's kind of funny and kind of cheeky. So yeah, that was part of the real me and still is.
And, you know, that just totally takes me back to that moment. And you actually just gave me an experience to see just kind of like a check-in point, right? Like the time capsule, right? Like going back to that moment and seeing how much has happened and how much I've got to experience and witness of your own journey and your own deepening. And I mean, you've always just been, from my perspective, such a shining, beautiful soul. But the way that you've come out of your shell since then, like you've come out of the capsule, that time capsule, you know, all the way back from, 3.5 years ago, and being able to see how you blossomed with your gifts, and being able to share them like courageously, like show up and share them. And I'd love for you to tell us what was that thing that happened after our call, and where to from here did you go?
Absolutely. So I really felt that moment in that day, a shift and a change. And basically you just took a very beautiful stick and poked me and said, do something. And you said it with love and you said it with passion and with fire, but you said, why aren't you sitting there doing nothing with that? Go do something with it. So I basically felt like I was completely sort of unstuck after that. Basically, if you think of it as water is not healthy water if it just stands there and just collects and pools and gets stagnant. It needs to be moving and it needs to have a course and a path to run through, like a river, a stream, an ocean, or whatnot. And so I kind of got that water moving again in a direction and flowing again. So I immediately felt impassioned to start writing again. I remember waking up even earlier than I do, which is pretty early. And I would sit at the kitchen table and I was sort of in a creative, good way, possessed to start writing every morning. A couple of times I almost had to call in late to work. Why? Poetry. Not traffic, but poetry. And no joke. And sometimes I will get my best ideas like minutes before I have to get in the road, or I'll be driving and that's when I'll be getting my best poetic ideas. I'm like, damn, I can't write it now. And maybe I see a school bus and there's no children on it. And that really powerfully affects me. Just the emptiness now, the ghostly school bus that is alone on the highway. And I've written about things like that, just all kinds of things. But so I kept writing and writing and writing. And just over the course of those couple of years, now instead of the tiny binder, I have this. It's hundreds of poems, and I love all of them. And I don't have personal children, but they're kind of my creativity children. So, and they're all blessings to me, and I do intend to share them with the world. So I don't have an exact release date or anything. I don't even have a publisher yet. So if you're a publisher and you're listening, you'd be lucky to get the stuff. It's really good, but sort of kidding, sort of not. But even if nobody's interested, I will self-publish, just like this guy. Uncle Walt Whitman. So one of my favorites, he had to self-publish, and no shame in that. So either way, we'll get it done. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening right now, and definitely on that path. And definitely, you know, 3/4 of those wouldn't have existed potentially had we not had that little bit of a meeting. So you're partially responsible for that.
Well, I'll take that responsibility, even though I know it's all on you. Beautiful. But that's so beautiful. You know, that's so moving to me because, you know, for me, my past self, before I entered personal development, I was very good at honing in on what was great in others, but I would tell them what they wanted to hear, right? Not what they needed to hear. And you said I did it with a beautiful stick and I kind of poked you and kind of, you know, but like, that was a really beautiful reflection to me on my own personal growth journey, you know, instead of just, and, you know, a lot of us can maybe relate if you're listening to this and you're somebody who might have some more people pleasing kind of ways of being. And, you know, what you just highlighted for me, which was such a gift, is that transition point for me from maybe just going, oh yeah, oh, that was beautiful, Alexandria. Oh yeah, I get it. You know, why, you know, it's scary. Like, you know, people might, you know, judge you or whatever, and just kind of enable kind of you to feel like, you know, right in not sharing it or not being more creative, and to be able to do it with love, which is my idea, you know, like I don't want to make people feel judged. I want them to be actually, hey, I'm seeing your potential here, like, and I'd love to see you live up to it at a higher level. You know, that's going to make you fulfilled, me fulfilled, everybody who gets to bask in your wisdom and your gifts fulfilled. And, you know, I definitely think if there's a publisher listening, they should definitely be publishing your poems, because I feel very privileged, like the others in our academy who get to periodically get to hear one of your latest, or you know, something that you've created with your beautiful poetic presence. So yeah, and so if other people wanted to see more of your poems before the book is published, is there a way that they can do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Probably the best idea is to follow me on Instagram or on a free app, which is called Poetizer. And I know that there's some of the Poetizer amazing poets in the community out there watching tonight. So much love to you guys as well. And just a lot of talent there. And, you know, sometimes a lot of angst, and people might see it as negativity, but it's also very honest and very real. And life isn't always sugar coated, and sunshine and rainbows don't just fly out of the poet's fingers all the time. Sometimes it's a lightning zaps. So you never know. There's all kinds of currents of energy going on, but that's kind of it. And I also wanted to not totally shift this discussion, but I'm just also knowing that when you were talking about taking action and, you know, being courageous and putting yourself out there, another thing that I felt called to do when I saw a post on Facebook from our local bonsai museum. They are these gorgeous little trees. We have an outdoor museum 5 minutes from my house. They had posted on Facebook an exhibition, and there was a poem posted by one of the trees. I said, well, I'm a poet. I could be involved with these trees somehow. So I messaged the director and I said, hey, I live around the corner. Maybe I can help. I'll be involved. I'll go to your events or whatnot for free. So I ended up volunteering, and actually 3 or 4 times now, I've been to their live events and had a poetry booth in public, and people would come up to me, and basically I would hand them a card and I would say, give me, 5 or 6 words about what you want a poem to be about. Or maybe it's Mother's Day and you want me to write a beautiful poem for your mother, your grandmother, your daughter. I'll do that for you for free, and I'll do it in 5 or 10 minutes. Just go look at the trees, come back, you and your family come back after about 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll give you the poem. And so I wasn't sure if it would work, but it kind of worked better than I was anticipating. And not only did we create a gift for the person, the family, but it left me with a ton of amazing memories too. And I really can't wait until the next time I get to do something cool like that too. So yeah, definitely shout out to the Bonsai Museum for letting me be part of their activities. Great place. It's a healing place, art. They had live music, all kinds of things. So can't wait to get back to doing things like that. In fact, I saw a post the other day. There's an arts festival north of Seattle, and they're planning to have an exhibition in June. So I'm already contacting them and saying, hey, can I be involved? I don't have anything to sell yet, but definitely would love to be involved. I also like to take beautiful photographs and put my poems on them as well. So things like this, our flame burns brighter still, sparking creation's glow within. So I don't know, anything that tries to bring more beauty to a world that is not too beautiful right now, just we need to do it. We need to bring that energy, bring things that are gorgeous, whether it's music or dance or art or opera, sculpture, making jewelry that's beautiful, just anything like that. I think that people are hungering and thirsting for that right now.
Absolutely. And yeah, I was so excited when you told me the story about the bonsai museums. I was like,
Yeah.
I wish maybe one day I will be able to get over there and visit you while you're doing it.
Absolutely.
But a couple of popped up, and I just want to look at like how many gifts your gift gives, right? Because, and this I want people to think about who are listening to this, like identify what your gifts are. And not everybody has the clarity on that. I know I certainly didn't. And that's why I'm so grateful to the frameworks of personality typology and psychology. So, that's what I help people do now, is discover what their gifts are when they don't know them, because I was certainly in that box. But you might be somebody like Alexandria, who it's really clear what her gift is, and she just needed the courage, to really just put it out there and focus on contribution. But a couple of things just popped up then, like when you get into your gift and you start giving it, you have no limits on how many gifts that continues to give to the external world. And if we use Alexandria for, as the guinea pig right now, if you look at, you're sitting at the Bonsai Museum and people can come to you and tell them what's meaningful to you, right? And, to them, sorry, and tell you, somebody special in their life that they really want to give the gift of love, right? That's really what it's about. And you help them feel so seen, and it's such a kind, loving act to bring your gift to what's most valuable to them, right? And to have them just share a few words with you, and you be able to see inside of them with just those words and create something for the person that they love the most, to be able to give that gift that just keeps on giving, right? That's so unique and special. And on the other side of that, when you authentically just share your own expression through your own creations, and then you get to share that with somebody else, or they get to read your poetry, I actually look at it as indirect coaching. Like, I think that's what the poetry is. It's like that person, whoever is hearing or reading your poetry, which is born from your own unique expression, how you've captured things in time, they actually get the opportunity to then go take it inside, and that's why it can be such an emotional experience, like what you mentioned when you first shared that poem with me, the time capsule poem. You're like, she's crying, but it's not emotional, right? Like, it's not a sad poem, but it helped me in my own personal journey that such a beautiful soul, such as yourself, was putting your trust in me to share your gifts and allowing me to have some sort of input of positivity if I could. And that was like, I'm tearing up just thinking about that, right? Because that's the gift. again, you know. So there's so many multitudes of gifts that your gifts give. And like, if you don't have the courage to get outside of your own fears and insecurities and opt for contribution, even if it just touches one other soul, you have no idea, right? And it never just touches one other soul, by the way. But that's really the heart of the message I feel like we're trying to deliver today. Your
Yes.
gift giving, and it's up to you to have the courage and the commitment to get it out there and contribute. And you never know how many gifts that gift keeps on giving. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, and just the gratitude just doesn't end either. And, you know, it even goes way back in my life to being raised with a family that really valued reading. And I was given that time to read widely and was taken to the library all the time. And my mom got me books signed by authors. And then to find out she wrote a lot of poetry when I was young. And I recently found that out. So it's kind of cool to see that continuing as well. So, you know, it's continuing that legacy. So yeah, I'm super excited. And I just know that every day when you speak with people, you do truly see that person for the beauty of who they are, not their title, not their income, not what they look or sound like. You truly see their heart, and our heart is full for receiving that gift from you.
Oh, I love this, you know, and thank you for that reflection as well. It's so, so beautiful. And yeah, and I think the common theme under this is that kindness for humanity, right? Like recognizing our interconnectedness, you know, to recognize that to give a gift is to receive a gift. You know, it works both ways, always. So beautiful.
Could I, sorry. So I read one of the poems from my past poetic self. I kind of wanted to read one from after you poked me and got me moving again, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So sometimes the poems come from current events. Sometimes they just come from what's happening in my mind. But this one was a story I was super disturbed by, super angry. It was somebody had gone on to sacred land in Mexico where there was a butterfly preserve, and killed in cold blood one of the beautiful volunteers that helped to run that foundation. And it just made me super sad, super angry. So, you know, what can I do about it? Almost nothing. But I wrote this poem about it because I think it had to be written. So it's called Butterfly Army Unite. At a UNESCO World Heritage Site, no glasses on, sorry. At a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Mexico, monarch butterfly sanctuary, another violent crime, bled dry the defender of the butterflies. Cartels, land developers, and cash-frenzied hands violated sanctuary, sacred land, a place of pristine beauty smeared with blood. It's time to usher in a new monarchy, a butterfly regime, and break up the monotony of violence, atrocity, and silence. Look to your demise, you lords of the flies. Our radiant kingdom of kindness will arise. What is our response? Ability. We'll shake the blood off our wings and take the fight, whirring and sing. Cut one of us down, we'll reproduce by the thousands. Our spirits merge with the monarch, golden-winged, pure of heart. Oh yes, there will be a reckoning. Arise, butterfly army, my butterfly kings and queens. Transmute blood and flies. Stop ignorant mouths. Arise and unite with your wings.
I love that. It's such a beautiful example of what we do with anger, as you said, right? Like anger is creative energy. And lots of us use it for destruction, you know, like the unconscious way to channel anger is through destruction, you know, one-ups, like trying to get them back. And instead, and I love that you've got the beautiful butterflies in your hair as well as you read that, you know, but you were able to channel that anger. And I'll be honest, like my channel of creation is through speech, right? Some of my speech comes when I'm angry, right?
Yes.
Frustrated, but instead of being destructive to myself or others, I want to channel that in a creative way. And now you've preserved empowerment, you know, not disempowerment that you were witnessing, but the anger channeled it to empowerment. So
Absolutely.
I love that share. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Thank
Love
you.
it. And I wanted to also ask you, what is next for you in reaching your next level of your potential?
Lots of things. So just trying to create a compelling future for myself. I know it's such dark days on the earth right now. We could get super depressed, easily discouraged, but I just have to believe that, not all of our best days are behind us. We've got to look also to the future and create that day by day. So if I find a creative opportunity, I'm going to jump on it. If I'm rejected, that's actually fine. It just means it wasn't meant to be, and something else that is meant to be will happen. I will deepen my relationship with my husband. I will deepen my relationship with myself, with my coworkers, with my family, wherever I can, and then eventually get this published. So that's kind of where my heart's at right now, is just being of contribution and deeply breathing every day. I do a lot of aromatherapy, so that kind of helps me, taking long showers, whatever I can do to get my own energy good.
So beautiful. And I love, over these years, what you've really role modeled for me, and it kind of taps into our personality psychology,
Yep.
right? So Alexandria uses a process which is introverted feeling, or we nickname it authenticity. And that's her greatest strength in the neuroscience of her personality. And the contrast with you and I is that my greatest strength is extroverted feeling, or we nickname harmony. And part of the gift that I know on my own personal journey has been harnessing the strength of my own authenticity, my own feeling. And that means taking time for yourself, self-care, self-nurturing, being very connected to your inner world. And you've been such a beacon of light for me, on my own personal growth journey, to be able to witness, when you've had challenges in your life, or, whatever's occurring in your life, you stay deeply connected to yourself and you make time for you. And I've really appreciated just bearing witness to that as the reminder for my own self, because my tendency when things are chaotic or challenging is to look to the external world to find that harmony. And oftentimes when we look to the external world before being really deeply connected within, we create internal chaos, even if we've got a little harmony in the external world. So I love what you just shared, and and with the little bits and pieces that you do for you to self-connect is so beautiful, and it's really inspirational. That's one of the reasons why I really want more of you out here outside of our little academy and community, for more of the public to see you and get that role modeling from you as well. So
thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. Just speaking the truth. All right. The lightning round questions that I want to tap into that aren't usually all that lightning, but we'll roll with it. Okay. First question I want to ask you is, what do the words limitless potential mean to you?
Sure. I guess I'm drawn back to the water example. For instance, we had a couple years ago taken a trip to desert hot springs in Southern California, and it looks like, where's the water? There's no water here. It's just hot. Everything's dead and dry. But really, there is a huge, vast pool of underground aquifers and resources beneath your feet. You can't see it, but it's there. And it's like that for every person. Internally, you guys all have deep resources within yourself. You just have to kind of be that water witch and divine, where do I look for the water? Where do I look for that self-refreshment? And you can figure that out. There's many ways to do it, but definitely knowing that you have limitless resources just within yourself already programmed into you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I asked you that question, because that's such a beautiful analogy. And I won't talk too much into it because we'll be here forever, but that's so beautiful. And I think I'm just kind of sitting with that one and visualizing that. And It's very resonant to another message that's underlying that I know has been resonating for you as well over the years, which is that you always have the answers within you.
Yes.
Like, and you're the one to find those answers as well. And sometimes it does take somebody pointing you with a beautiful stick, right? Like,
yes.
That. But the stick pointers, they're really just opening your eyes, your own eyes within, and encouraging you to tap into that well, right? So
I think
beautifully
it
put.
really is just that we forget, we were inspired before, we were doing these things, and life kind of took over. We're so responsible, and we just have to remember, balance everything out again, get it back to balance. We're responsible, but we're also, relaxed. We're hardworking, but we're also hardly resting. So you just have to get that balance back. And sometimes we tip the scales in either way. So just know that, and it's normal for everybody. You can restore yourself, and it can happen in a day.
Absolutely. Well said. Beautiful. Absolutely. And the next question I have for you is, what is something that you believe that other people think is insane?
Sure, probably a lot of things, being a poet, but not always super logical. I truly do believe at some level that every human still has the images and memory of their birth into this world. So even though it's a long time ago, might be your first memory. Not sure about memories in the womb. I don't know, maybe, but yeah, that was always just sort of something that was running through my mind. And one of my poems is about that, about making your entrance onto the stage of the earth from wherever you came from, and how powerful an entrance, a new reality that it is for you.
That poem of yours is phenomenal.
Thank you.
That particular one. Yeah. What was that one called?
Even before I was.
Even before I was. Okay. Well, everybody want to hear that one for sure. Okay, cool. And what book have you given most as a gift or recommendation?
Oh, sure. So many. So, oh gosh, I love books, but I will say, because this is mostly geared toward unblocking the creative, if you're blocked creatively, that anything by Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, is simply amazing. And sometimes I read things weird, like usually front to back, but sometimes I'll just open up and read something. And recently I had found this book again. I had seen that when I read this book many years ago, I totally marked it up. I mean, I highlighted, I wrote crazy notes just to myself all over the place. And I'm so glad that I did, because I sent messages to my future self. I'm sitting here, 20 years later, 21 years later, reading this stuff. And some of it is exactly what I would say today. And other things are like, oh my gosh, how sad. I really thought that like nobody could love me or whatever. Like, oh my gosh, that's super depressing. But there's all kinds of stuff in here. It's really honest, and it's just real. And it shows, the me, and then also clues to your future self. So just kind of a tip, if you have a book like that, mark it up, use a pen or a highlighter, and just write tons of notes or ask questions. And then later down the line, if you keep that book, you can look back on it and you'll see all of these basically breadcrumbs, to use the analogy of the children's story. You're going to leave these breadcrumbs as a trail back to yourself and for the future self as well.
Oh my gosh, you just totally revolutionized the way I'm going to be reading my books, because I usually am. I keep them really, nice, but I think you just gave me, like, I have the same experience when I go back to written journals that I had, and occasionally I might flip through a written journal and I'm like, whoa, like, and you have some really deep insight, reflections about your growth, and if you have overcome your patterns or if they're still present now, and I love the idea of, actually, I think I've done that with one book. And it is the book that I always recommend as like a foundational place for people to start their personal development journey or their relationship journey, which is Lovability by Robert Holden. Now, that book for me is just like highlighted to death, pages all back. And I guess the more I love and get from a book, the more I operate like you have in That Artist's Way. Yeah. That's
Yep.
awesome.
And I'll be honest, that is one that I have heard you mention a few times, and we've picked up, Charles and I, over the year, many of the books you recommended. I haven't picked up that one yet. So I think that will be on the 2021 reading list. We love to read out loud together as a couple. So it's kind of fun. We don't care if people think it's weird or whatever. We've read probably mid 80s of books by now, maybe 85, 86 books out loud together. So it's super cool. Do it. You guys will love it. So read a book out loud. It's awesome.
Actually, it's my favorite way to learn is to read
Nice.
a book to somebody, though. I have to have a purpose.
Yeah. Yes.
I love that. And yeah, and I would say like that lovability book, honestly, like every page is just such profound wisdom, just like over and over again. And it's the one book that I've come back to that I could never get sick of. Like it's not a lot of books that we read, we kind of think, yeah, I get that now. Like what's next? And what's next? Right. And that's just so deeply connected to just the greatest reminder that any human being can have, which is belief in your own lovability. You know, just like you in the artist way, your past self leaving comments that, you know, like believe in your lovability, you know, and that's why it's the part of the human experience. And that's why I think that book is, you know, one that everybody should read. And The Artist Way, even though I haven't read that one.
You'll love it.
Actually, I was recommended to read that book in particular to develop the cognitive function that is your greatest strength, which the introverted feeling or authenticity. Very powerful. And what do the first 60 minutes of your day look like? Okay.
I'm going to say the first 2 hours, basically. I'm going to bend your question just a little bit because I do bend the rules just a bit. So probably a lot of aromatherapy, which is helpful to me. It just really gets me in a calm, happy state. Also will take a super nice long shower, get a lot of good ideas in the shower as well, which a lot of people throughout history have. So definitely do that. And also I do make my coffee. I got to grind the beans and inhale the delicious aromas. And it's even artistic how you can kind of, I shake the milk, the almond milk, and put it in a certain way. And, you know, I haven't gotten good to make latte art yet, but I like that sort of thing. So I don't know, kind of a coffee girl.
I love it. So I was going to pause you for a second then, but yeah. What do you do? Like, how do you do aromatherapy? Like, what does that look like? You just sniff the bottles?
It's very, very complicated. With many different scents, but yeah. I don't have a degree in it, but it works for me. So, yep, just straight from the bottle through the system and just wash it through and good to go.
Do you pick, like, is it just kind of a random thing? You just kind of, and it just, what does it do? Like connect you to you, the scent? Yeah.
I just think there's a variety. I have a kit, so there's probably 6 or 8 different scents. And there's just a different feeling or vibration or energy that you get with each different scent. So the peppermint, which is the one I brought out here, that one really kind of wakes you up, energizes you while calming you, which it sounds contradictory, but it's not. And it just clarifies. So yeah, it's just sort of something that clarifies your experience and kind of wakes up the brain and the senses and gets you ready for the day. Or, I mean, not just ready for the day. I use it at night too, because I'm a little bit anxious and it takes me a long time to mentally wind down and clear the cache of my mind and close all the browsers that are constantly going and giving me ideas. But so I've just got to close this thing down and figure out how to get to sleep. It's going all the time. So I will say that that's been a good help as well.
And just because I'm interested in this, just one last question on this is, do you use particular scents for particular reasons? Like, do you instill that smell? You know how people can, you know, smell something and have a memory of something, or smell something and it impacts them in a particular emotional way. Do you have different scents that, like, if you're feeling anxious, you know, you have this particular scent or anything like that?
I think sort of generally I do, but I haven't cataloged it that specifically yet. So For instance, eucalyptus, I would say, is more of a healing. So if you're feeling sort of wounded or injured, either internally or even physically, using the eucalyptus will give you kind of a boost, and it reconnects me to literal childhood memories of, your mom putting Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest or on a head cloth or even on your feet to heal you and to comfort you. So that one is more of a comforting scent, I think. So that's just kind of an example of how aromatherapy could be linked and utilized along with memories and what you're trying to create.
I love that. And actually eucalyptus is like one that I put in all of my air, vaporized sort of things.
Yep.
I love that. So
nice.
Cool. Love it. And do you have a favorite quote that you love or you live by or you think about often?
I absolutely do. There's a couple I have here. So for my poetry, I did create, I guess, a term. That's not a stage name, but it's a writer's name. It's poetic presence, and not presence like a gift, although I guess it could be that, but the other spelling. And then my motto would be to create, connect, contribute, and inspire. So that's definitely one. And then another one that I just have sort of sitting here that I try to guide my life by, and it's from Walt Whitman. And you may have heard it before. So Robin Williams in the movie Dead Poets Society, he's playing the role of John Keating, which is the English teacher, a controversial one because he tells the truth. So he's quoting Uncle Walt Whitman, and he says, "Oh me, oh life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, oh me, oh life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?" And I challenge everybody in a loving manner tonight. I'm poking you with a pretty stick as well. What will your verse be? Contribute something. We can sit here and be upset about the world and how it is and everything happening, or we can take that responsibility and contribute something beautiful, something creative, something artistic, something amazing that you don't even know what you have to give until you try. So I just ask everybody here listening tonight, look internally, find those resources, go deep, connect with yourself, and contribute your verse.
Boom, drop the mic, Alexandria. Wise words and said so passionately. And thank you for that gift just to me, because I think we can, no matter where we are and no matter how much we can be thinking that we're contributing or following our pathway and our gifts, it's so easy, I've found, to just kind of fall into the comfort zone and just the same thing and not actually challenging yourself to the next level, right? There's always that next level of our potential. And it's not about, not being present to the moment and celebrating where you are and all of that stuff. But we also do have to have an eye on the future about where are we moving to? What's going to be the pathway forward that's fulfilling to us and letting ourselves be guided by that internal inspiration and authenticity. So love that. So beautifully put. Okay, a couple more questions, which are, what have you changed your mind about in the last few years and why?
Sure. That one's challenging to me. I'm always shifting and changing, so it's hard to come up with one thing. But I guess the idea of I need to do this by a certain age in my life. So I really do believe that everything is progressing as it should be, no matter what the external world is looking and perhaps judging. Wow, she hasn't done that, or she doesn't have this. Doesn't matter. So really just unplugging completely as I can, kind of like you as well, from what other people think. If they're whispering or gossiping, or I think they are, I don't know, who knows, but I don't have to be popular. I don't have to have a lot of friends. That's really okay. Those people that are going to care about you and get you, they're going to get you. And the other people that are going to talk or hate or not resonate, let them go their way. It's completely fine. So we need to be stressing about that and thinking about that too much. Just let them go and it'll be fine. And they probably didn't even mean anything personal to you. It's just their own struggles in their own life or their own insecurities. And I have to really believe that.
Oh, and I think that's such a powerful answer that everybody could relate to. And also that it's kind of what you brought up in that was challenge your beliefs. Like, whose beliefs are they? Like, because society pushes, not like, as collectively we have these beliefs. Yeah, we have to have done or achieved certain things by certain ages. And, and we need to have as many friends as possible, like quantity over quality, and, all about experiences and all of those sorts of things. So I love that you just brought that up. Like, it seems like you've changed because you've gained more self-awareness. So you can differentiate between societal belief systems and what you're choosing for yourself and what feels right.
Yeah, I will just say this too. I'm raising my hand like I'm in class. It's funny, but being the teacher and the student at the same time always. But yeah, even not too long ago, someone said to me, "Wow, you're like the weirdest person that I know." And I could have gotten offended and been, oh, so hurt or whatever. And I kind of thought, I said out loud, I said, "Really? Thank you. That's awesome. I consider that really a compliment." And I'm laughing about it now, but I really do, because like, that's great. Then I'm just being me. So again, I consider that a compliment. If I'm weird, that's great.
And a great sign of transition into your own growth, where the voice, in the words of one of our favorite mentors, Dr. John Demartini, turning the voice on the inside up and the voices on the outside down, right? Like, you want to have that internal harmony within, which means you're going to be in the external world if you're not actively trying to fit in. So yeah, I think maybe when you're at high school, that would be, like the worst thing in the world. And to a lot of adults nowadays, absolutely still would be, right? But to be on this personal development journey and get to a place where being called weird is an absolute freaking compliment. I love it. Awesome. And the last question I have for you, before we start wrapping things up and see if we've got any comments. Bit of a weird situation on YouTube, not Facebook right now, but we'll see, is how has a failure set you up for later success?
Well, I also have a problem with that question because I don't really see anything. Sorry, I don't really see anything as a failure. I'm going to learn from something. If I don't do it well, I'm just going to learn. And if I'm not perfect and I have flaws, I'm going to embrace those flaws and I'm going to roll with that. So I'm going to learn. I might improve, but at the end of the day, I'm just me. So I'm going to be good with that.
I love that. Beautifully put. And well, I love it. I love it. It's actually in alignment. I'm going to put out a post probably tomorrow, which is about failing forward to unite upwards. And it's kind of very much in alignment with what you just shared, right? Because we can use failure as this thing that we want to avoid at all costs. But if you have a beautiful perspective on that and you have a growth mindset, like Alexandria just articulated, right? It's like, it's not really failure because I'm learning, I'm developing. It's feedback, right? We've all heard that kind of failure feedback. So beautifully.
I mean, I make mistakes all the time, all day long, all day, every day, but some of them are funny. Some of them are embarrassing. And, hopefully I don't keep repeating the same ones, but I always learn. So, yep.
Exactly. Well said. Awesome. So we have only got a couple of comments that I can see across. I kind of tried to put on Facebook and it's on YouTube, but this is the first time we're doing YouTube, so it's all kind of new. We've just got a couple of Judy saying how beautiful the conversation is. And
thank you, Mom.
And Jerry is watching along as well, saying it's awesome. So I'm sure we're going to have more people watching the recording. Oh, hang on. We got a comment. We got one right when we needed it. Data. So the voice from the inside is the one that also produces creative magic. I've seen when I'm in good health and feel great, my creativity skyrockets. When I'm not feeling healthy, I get a creative block. Boom. Absolutely. And I'm sure you can relate to that as well. Did you have any words that you wanted to say on that one?
No, that definitely resonates as well. So yeah, I mean, it's all got to be in alignment. And it doesn't mean we have to be perfect or anything, that life doesn't have challenges. But yeah, if you're looking after yourself and all those levels, then it's going to really help you to flow into that creativity instead of getting stuck. Because if you are just like you're not feeling well or tons of depression or no energy, you're not going to have that energy or that zest to create, and you're not going to be excited to produce anything or to share it at all. So yeah, it's all connected, definitely. Thank you.
And if you don't have your health, you ain't got nothing. And you realize that every time you get sick, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for that share, Data. And I wanted to invite you to share any sort of parting words that just come to you that you feel would be just anything that's called to share with our audience as we sign off.
Absolutely. It's sort of a short, last poetic blessing. I think that anybody that's alive on this earth right now can definitely use a little blessing. So I'm going to bring that to us and myself as well. It was originally supposed to be for 2020, but we're extending the blessing because 2020 didn't go as planned. So this is going to be through the next year and beyond. It's called 2021 Intention. My wish for 2021 is to amplify intention, authenticity, cultivate a peaceful warrior mental state, centering prayerfully, dancing deftly between imagination and reality, pirouetting paradox of disappointment and dreams, entering creativity's portal more and escaping the matrix madness mentality. And that's my poetic blessing for you guys.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, beautiful soul. And I love that you can continue it on into 2021.
You gotta keep going.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much and acknowledge you for just sharing your gifts and really exemplifying what today's message is really all about, to stop dialing down your gifts, to get over your fears and start contributing. And if you weren't doing that, like, I bet you can reflect back over the last few years of not, maybe if you hadn't have stepped up and done what you've done, all those beautiful souls and experiences that you've got to connect with at the Bonsai Museum, with your connections in the communities that you're a part of, all of that, like, that's just such a waste to think about, like if you had been doing that. So thank you for having the courage to share your gifts so openly and continue to do so. You really do make it such an impact, and you're such an asset in our Limitless Potential community. You're such a part of the team. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed and you had the courage, even if it might have been a bit scary, to jump on a call with me and connect with this strange chick from Australia.
No, it's been nothing but good. I'm just super blessed and super encouraged, and yeah, just excited for what future things are coming up as well. And just that every time you do a live, every time that you speak with anyone, you're contributing your verse and creating beautiful things. When people speak, they can be speaking poisonous things, or they can be basically spreading beautiful flowers. So why not make flowers in the world? And that's what I see you doing. And not that you don't deny anything that is harsh or cruel. You definitely also know that, but there's so much of that. I just think we need to balance it out a little bit. So yeah, we're on that same team together, and I plan to be around for a very long time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, beautiful soul. And, just to wrap everything up for our beautiful souls, I thank you so much for those of you who have been able to join live, wherever you've done it and however you made it here. I'm grateful, because it's a bit of a last minute transition, seeing as Facebook put me in jail again. Not exactly just yet, but want to continue spreading these beautiful thoughts and beautiful souls such as yourself. So nothing's going to stop us. And the parting message, as usual, is to go out there and honor your authenticity, to deepen your intimacy. Don't stay on the surface, go really deep, and, be vulnerable, right? That's where our strength is. That's where our depth is. That's where the connection is. And to definitely go out there and discover what your unique gifts are and contribute them with meaning and purpose. And thank you, Alexandria, again, for showing up and role modeling that for us.
Thank you so much, V. Thank you, guys.